Here we are at the camp, 2004, August. Mom's doing the dishes. We have been getting feast every night since we've been here. We've had fish, ham, fancy soups, blueberry pancakes,
chicken sauté,
turkey dinner. It's like paradise. And what are we having tonight for dinner, Mom?
Well, it's Grandma's 80th birthday dinner. So we're having her old Irish corned beef and cabbage with potatoes, lemon meringue pie, corn on the cob, home-baked bread, salad, and green beans.
Wow. Here you have it, folks. And this is nothing extraordinary. This is pretty much standard routine in the kitchen here out in the cabin.
Sorry,
Ma,
oh, Grandma.
Grandma, Ida Clark,
I can't
or
look
actually
into the
Ida
sun.
Nordquist,
I can't look into the sun.
and she's now the big 80. But she studies Taoism, so she's gonna live forever. I swear she hasn't looked any different from, I remember 15 years ago. She looks the same. Actually, she looks better today.
Oh, you caught me with no makeup.
No makeup, huh? So, Grandma, what do you think about the women of the Clark family, huh?
The women of the Clark family. Is this the interview?
This is part of it.
Women of the Clark family.
Yeah. You started all, so
I would say
what woman?
we have quite a few independent-minded women in the Clark family.
That may be an understatement, but yeah. So, who was the biggest woman factor in your life? What woman in your life was the most inspirational to you?
Oh, I think well, certainly Mary Baker Eddy, who was the founder of Christian Science, has been very influential in my life. I would say Mary Margaret Moore, as a channel for Bartholomew, has also influenced me greatly. I think that the book, The Feminine Mystique, that came along in the 70s, began to change my idea of what the role of a woman had to be, and more that she could put more attention on herself and didn't have to live just her children and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a very liberating book. I think the great example of my grandmother and my mother and my aunts, who were all successful women, certainly contributed to my sense of self.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about Bartholomew. For those who don't know him,
Bartholomew is an out-of-body entity that chose to speak through Mary Margaret Moore. She did not choose him. He appeared when she was under hypnosis and introduced himself. And Dr. Aiken said, what name did he want? And he said, Bartholomew will do. Many of us who have listened to Bartholomew over the years feel he had been St. Francis and the Indian Saint Ramana Maharshi, because Bartholomew told many stories about them both, but she probably wouldn't have known unless he had lived those lives. Anyway, he got me out of many prejudices and race beliefs that I had not examined, that I didn't even know I had. So he was a great teacher for me. He liberated me from many limiting thoughts. Zane, the sun is in my eyes here. I can't look into the camera.
I want to do little bits and pieces.
Uh-huh. It would be interesting. I mean, I'm sure we all have our... I couldn't think of Gloria Steinem's name. She was the author of The Feminine Retreat.
You heard Grandma about love?
Okay. We were talking about unconditional love and what it was. And I said, when you're raising children and you're trying to have unconditional love, it doesn't always serve them if you let them just do anything, thinking that was loving. Because love and wisdom go together. God is both love and wisdom. So we need to have as much wisdom as we have love when we're bestowing it or when we're trying to live it.
When you got a relationship and you like a girl, right? And you're trying to show unconditional love, at the same time, it might not be the perfect relationship though either.
Well, you carry into that relationship your own standards. Most of us who are looking for relationships get to know the person quite well before we ever enter in the relationship, even though they seem to be very attractive or magnetic. It's like we want to know who they are. Are they truthful? How are their relationships? What are their relatives like? I suppose that isn't unconditional. Ken Kives, whom I spent quite about a year with, said he could have a relationship with anyone because he knows, and I know, that we all are created by God, and we all have infinite divine possibilities. But he said he couldn't have a relationship with somebody who didn't tell the truth or was an alcoholic or a drug, just because he wasn't willing to do the amount of work it would take to keep a harmonious relationship going with a person with those traits. So he would choose not to have a relationship with those kind of people. If you do choose to have a relationship with those kind of people, I think it can be a very rocky road. And you might not get what you want from it. And very few of us say that there is nothing we want. So we all have agendas of what our good looks like. And most of us pursue what we think our good looks like. And that actually is our God. Our good is our God. So if you pursue money, money is your God. Because you think that's your good. If you pursue the will of God, that's your value. And I believe if you pursue the will of God, which I don't think is different than your will, because I think God puts his will in you. So that's how you know when you're on the right track, that in some way it's all part of the divine plan. So I think actually my feeling about relationships is we don't have to go out and search them, they come to us. When we're ready, when we know what we want, and we have prepared ourselves, by living those traits ourselves, we will draw to us the kind of partner we want because our vibration will match theirs. Stop.
You got a sailboat? No. She got the sailboat. Cool.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
He's got his big sail down. You were going to take the sunfish out. Did you go?
I didn't go. No.
Oh.
Not today. I was going to go out, but made a tent instead.
I don't think Connie knew her potential until after she married Alden and began to do her counseling work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now we're recording. So, So tell me about my mom, Connie. So what what was interesting as a mother seeing her become an adult and her life unfold?
Well, Connie and I have kind of followed the same path, except that she and I would preach to her, please finish college before you get married.
Uh-huh.
So just the month she finished college, or she got married. Um, Connie being, Connie was always a good child. She didn't cause me a lot of trouble. And good children sometimes don't get the attention that a bad child gets because they're being so good. And Walter was a handful. So Connie, in a way, growing up, didn't feel that she was seen. And I can see how she felt that way because um, you kind of took her for granted. If you needed something done, I'd ask her or Hal. They would always be willing to help. So she went into home economics, as I had done, and taught it. And then there was a reduction in force at the school, and she chose to leave rather than have reduced hours. And that's where she began to launch. So she got a job with Johnson & Johnson, and they began to train her. And that was her first move into, I would say, the beginning of her real career. Up to that time, she'd been pretty much the kind of mother that I had been, very attentive to her young. And then the divorce began to force her into having to look at her own life and have a career and earn more money. But she always was a reader. And I don't think her real, that she didn't start to stand out until after she'd gotten some good training and began to kind of find that she was also a good counselor. So, but she's always been intuitive, as Mary Beth has been, so I'm not surprised her children are intuitive also. And she did pick out a very good father for you. He was very reliable, he was very good looking, he had a nice family, he gave her everything in those first years that you would want from a husband. So I don't think marriages are a mistake. I mean, I don't think she made a mistake in marrying him. I think that it put her through a lot of growing up so that, in a way, she matched Alden's vibrations when she met him. She knew better what she wanted, what matched her in intellect. So I think Connie's going to make great contributions to the world. And I certainly appreciate what she's done for the family and having us all be able to come here and see each other. Because when would I see you if you didn't come here?
Hey, Grandma, I heard that you're going to be... well, I don't mean to laugh. I'm just trying to think what I'm going to say, but
No.
that you're studying to be a religious practitioner?
Religious science practitioner.
Religious science practitioner. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. First of all, in 1978, I became a Christian science practitioner. And that means that if Christian scientists wanted a prayer partner to work with them, they can call up a practitioner and she'll pray for them. And I used that service all the time my children were growing up. And that's really the only kind. We didn't go to doctors. Only Walter had an appendicitis operation. Otherwise, we met all claims through prayer. But as I got older, I kind of began to embrace some concepts that weren't in Christian Science, mostly the ability of people to channel helpful entities. And that was not a belief in Christian Science. And so I had to change churches, but I didn't find religious science until I came out to the West Coast, where that is a stronger force because it was founded in California, and it's a relatively new congregation. So it's what a practitioner does. She knows the truth about you when you seem to be not knowing the truth. If you're feeling overwhelmed, unprosperous, ill, sinful, addicted, any of those things, it's her job to know that as God's perfect creation, the real you is nothing but perfect. Only manifests harmony. Only manifests good relationships. Cannot be sick. God cannot be sick. Is truthful. Knows, has wisdom. So I'm knowing the truth while you're forgetting. But I like to work with people that want to be healed, so they're willing to give up attitudes and beliefs that have not brought them happiness. They're willing to examine their thoughts, to say, I want to choose again. I want to make a better choice this time. And the practitioner might get a word of wisdom. She might get a direct word of wisdom, or she just might just know the truth, and the person she's helping gets the word of wisdom, or things work out. I found over the years that things worked out. Lane, I think you're shooting into the sun. I see the sun on the lens. Won't that?
Grandma, you said that you were talking about truth before.
Right. That what has motivated me in my life. Once I got on the spiritual path, I wanted to fall under the teachings that I felt had the greatest amount of truth. And so actually, after I got out of high school, I began to visit different denominations, different ways of teaching truth to see what I felt was right. And I ended up in Christian Science, which I felt, I stayed away from very structured congregations like Catholic. My parents were very Protestant, right? But what I liked about it is that you can solve everything in life by knowing the truth about it. And Eckhart Tolle has another way of saying it, like all pain in life comes from not accepting what is, which is the truth about it. That's what is happening in your life. So you have to look at what is and what you want to do about it. Don't pretend it's not there. But anyway, it led me into when I wanted to be a healer, and the Christian Science teacher had not accepted me for class instruction, which meant I couldn't become a practitioner until I had class instruction. So it made me mad. So someone sent me a book called We Are All Healers by Sally Hammond, and it talked about the National Federation of Spiritual Healers in England had classes in healing. And I wanted to take a class in healing, so I wrote them and I said, I understand you have a class in healing. Anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up going to England, and they introduced me to, for the first time, I heard people who were channeling. And it struck me as truth. They were going in and giving views on things. One is abortion. Is abortion wrong? I always wanted to know the truth about that. And the truth is they say that when a woman sees a child and that child's soul knows the mother does not want that child, they know they're likely to be aborted. And there's no sin in that. The only sin, perhaps, is that it's hard on the mother if she may have guilt. She may have think that she's taken away a life. Well, life is immortal. We change form, but we don't ever lose our life. We may die, but we lose the body, but we don't lose our life. So that soul will choose another time to come in. So the harm is not, but if the mother feels guilt, then she may suffer some harm from that, because she's been taught that it's wrong. The other thing is, what is the truth about homosexual people? Why is it wrong? Is it a sin to be homosexual? And the entities say that no, it's not a sin, that we have all lived many lives, and sometimes we've lived too many lives as male, and we've gotten totally out of touch with the female part of ourselves. And so we need a female life to balance the male lives. But we're afraid to come in as a female, so we come in as a homosexual, a person that looks male but has female tendencies. And we kind of get used to the idea of what feminine energy feels like, because to be whole human beings, we need a balance of both male and female. Then I got into the question of, is there extraterrestrial life? Are there other planets with life? And the entities all say absolutely. There are billions of planets. And in our own galaxy, the one that operates is the Galactic Federation of Light, which is a organization of some 400 sentient planets that trade and exchange information. And they have wanted our planet to join them. But we have been taught that all aliens are dangerous. And some of them are. There are some that are not out for our good. But the Galactic Federation has had its ships monitoring us for maybe 1,000,000 years, for many, many years. And they are just waiting. They're tied up in the Sahara. They're just waiting to come in when enough of us say, hey, we'd like some help. We seem to have gotten the planet off on the wrong foot here. Mm-hmm. And they say that we could all be prosperous. But people are kept poor to control them.
Grandma,
yes.
About the aliens. Now,
yes.
This is, as you know, this is a story similar to Noah, and the Ark, where everyone thought he was crazy that everyone had to get on the ship to save themselves.
Right.
And a lot of people listening to this in the future might think, oh my gosh, maybe Grandma was crazy. How long ago did you really become interested in aliens, and when did you how old were you when you had a firm belief in aliens, and what kind of let you off to that belief, and who influenced you?
Number one, Grandmother Clark always believed in UFOs. She was a spotter during World War II for planes, right, unidentified flying objects, right. She and I used to think she was strange that she would believe in that, because none had been found. All right, I think what really moved me into the Galactic Federation information is when I went to California, and I stayed with a friend of a friend, and she introduced me to a book called Star Wards, and it was transmissions from aliens, the Galactic Federation, to a gentleman who built a receiver that he could receive their communications. And they explained their civilizations, they explained what their ships were like. They said that some of their motherships were 1,500 miles across, and that these little ones we see are off from motherships, that they had contacted President Eisenhower and President Truman, but when they contacted them to try to tell them about themselves, another alien group was also trying to influence them, saying that they would give us technology in exchange for a bases here. And our government bought it. And those bases, I think, are way underground at Roswell, from which they can fly in and out of. Mm-hmm. All right. They gave us probably the technology for missiles. They also gave us the technology for computers. and planes that flew invisibly that we could use as spy planes. They also gave them to the Russians and other people. And there are certain areas in the world where people have seen so many flying saucers that they don't even hardly think about it anymore. They think they have bases in the Andes, and many people in the Arizona, Utah, New Mexico area have seen planes, and there's good evidence that there was alien planes crashed in New Mexico, and those were completely hidden. The governments have never. They investigated the blue books. They would go in and they collect all the evidence, and then all the evidence would disappear. And they were said, oh, they just saw balloons or something. So there's been a huge cover-up with our government that they have not admitted that we have been hobnobbing with aliens, but the wrong ones. Now the Galactic Federation has finally gotten a lot of those aliens to leave, that they have seen that they have actually been very destructive to this planet. So I'm hoping that in my lifetime that I will see this turn around and a great deal of truth pronounced, that in fact they have been contacting us for 50 years, that they have seen them, they know them. The Palladians say that they can come into our atmosphere and in 3 days passes us, get used to our atmosphere and pass.
Mm-hmm.
So
How old were you when you read that book?
I found that book in about 1986.
Okay, and that had that changed. That's
I was
really
so fascinated with that book that I took it down to Kinko's and I had it copied because it was a very limited edition.
Mm-hmm. All right, Grandma, I'm gonna bring up something here. One time, you and I I remember being a child, and there was a magazine. It was like the National Enquirer magazine, and it had a picture of Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Right.
And you once said, "Oh, Bigfoot," and you kind of looked like you took the article a little bit serious just for reading the front cover. Have you ever heard the expression, "Don't ever believe everything you read"?
The Indians.
I'm just being
Right,
cynical because I'm trying to picture what a lot of people might be asking if they see this.
You know, there are a lot of people that have believed truth before it became generally known. I mean, what was it, the one that said the world was round was put to death by the Catholic Church. So almost everybody that has been far out there in their understanding.
Famous corned beef dinner here. Grandma,
Look at this.
how long has this recipe been in the family for?
Well, about 30 years.
30 years? And who got you turned on to it?
My next door neighbor, who was Jewish, I complained I couldn't cook corned beef that tasted like Jewish corned beef in New York.
But you can.
All right, let's take a look at this. Here it is, the famous Clark corned beef.
Okay, seating arrangements. Where's everybody?
Yum, yum.
Stacy, Mark, and Lane are there.
Here.
Okay.
There's
Stacy,
Heidi.
this is scallops,
Oh, great.
in case.
You assuming everyone wants
I'm
those
gonna
too?
try it then, yeah.
Corned beef.
Thank
I
you.
am. Do you
I
want it?
wouldn't, I don't.
Oh,
No, I'm gonna water.
Okay.
here we are.
I'll pour it back.
Oh, you
That's
pour
all right.
back, not a problem.
I got
Another
wine,
feast
wine and water.
for the family cabin.
That's one cabbage.
Ooh,
Potatoes and all sorts of things.
Here we are.
Actually been in the water.
I think
Heidi, Evelyn,
7:30.
Will.
Hey.
Here we go.
If it's boiling, it only needs a couple
Ethan.
minutes.
Peter, can you pass me the crock salad? The apple.
Oh yeah! Look at that face. Oh, he wants to get back to the food there.
No, I think
So Grandma, how many years you got under your belt now? 80. The big 80.
I hope you all live as long and as well.
Yeah, me too.
I got some.
There's Stacy,
I visualize you saying.
6.5 months pregnant
I'm starving.
Visualize you saying.
and starving. Marcos,
What's up?
What's up? Johanna, little Peter. Peter, what's up?
I'm meeting Peter now.
Stacy, how's the pregnancy?
Madre,
Been going?
did you say you were going to do a toast for Grandma?
Really
Not right this second.
Alright, later on,
A little
we'll
bit
have
of
a
morning
toast.
sickness in the beginning, or no?
Watching the sunset. Sunset Rock.
It's a great place to sit in the sun and watch the boats go by.
They don't have to go through the main.
You can actually come out for those.
Oh, yes. We're going to sing happy birthday.
Wait till we come in.
Okay.
I should get it. I should.
But you should live so long to have some nice great grandchildren.
Is Mark there?
Let's go!
Behind you. Oh, okay. Everybody's here? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, good. Okay.
Stacy.
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ina. Happy birthday to you. Speech.
That's a cute picture.
She's doing it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Someone,
Yay.
some other kid blew
A
hers
little
out for
power
her
assist,
birthday.
but
You have the ideas. You have your ideas.
There's Stacy. Stacy, that's 7 months pregnant there. Yep.
it's
Marco, what do you say about that, Marco? 6 1/4, right?
Beverly, would you like the second place?
It's a very small piece.
you want that one? Okay.
Another feast for the family at the Canadian Cabinet. I like your hat. All right, we'll record.
All right. So we were talking about ethical relationships and why being ethical brings you prosperity. And I was saying that your grandfather had the Irish gift of belonging. And so he was always promising me the world. No. So it was always, we're gonna take trips, we're gonna have this lovely house, and don't worry, everything's gonna turn out all right. But in the end, when he wanted to do something else, he just dropped the whole thing, as if he never said a needful thing. But what I was trying to say to you is, I did not call him when he became unethical. What he would do is to get investors to invest in his project, he would paint this glowing picture of how they were going to make all this money. And when it didn't work out, he never even contacted them to tell them what had happened to the project. And so he was using people. And he did not prosper with that. And when I finally separated from him and went to my own prosperity, I have never wanted since. So I'd say the same thing to Walter. Be ethical in all your dealings in real estate. It's the only thing that's going to make you prosper. So it's truly reflecting who you are as the perfect reflection of God. We are all moral and we're all ethical. And the highest level. All right. Now, cut it so we get into the subject. Ken Keyes, who wrote the textbook and the handbook for higher consciousness, had the Living Love Center in Coupe, Oregon, where he had classes on people on teaching unconditional love. But he himself said that he could have a relationship with anybody, but that he would not choose to have a relationship with an alcoholic or somebody who's into drugs or with some other major problem, because he wouldn't want to do the amount of mental work it would take to stay in harmony and unconditional love with that person. Because it would be so much more difficult him to attracted somebody who was holding his values and didn't go to the lows or the highs. Isn't that high is bad, but sometimes if you go really way out there exuberantly, you can also then go down into a deep hole. And I think that the spiritual life has fewer great highs and fewer great lows, and more of an even keel. All right, I'll start over again. This is an affirmation on abundance. I am a living, loving expression of God. God is abundant. I accept financial abundance manifesting easily in all my affairs. I know prosperity is my divine right, and it is flowing into my experience now. I am nourished by my awareness of truth. God is abundance. I am one with God, and I claim financial abundance. So when you hold in mind that there is a good for you and you ought to have it, and there is never more God than there is in this moment now, then you can express total abundance now. It's not in the future. You will be led to do everything in your today that would claim your abundance. So you can't see anybody else's poor. Because if you see anyone else's poor, you're saying that one of God's children can be poor. If you see anybody sick and claim that that's their status, then you are not going to be able to claim wellness for yourself. So whatever you claim for yourself is true for everybody else. And when we pray, we say, I speak for all people, everyone, that I am the perfect reflection of God. And I reflect abundance, and I reflect health, and I reflect integrity. And that is my divine nature. And that's true for Lane, and that's true for Johanna, and that's true for everybody, right?
Yeah, but it's not actually what you said. You just said.
Oh no, in religious science, the job of the practitioner is to train it to you. But maybe while you're forgetting, maybe you're having a terrible time with finances. You're claiming the truth for you, and you're claiming the truth for them. And you're denying that they think that is part of their experience.
Here we are with Grandma, and she's cleaning as normal. Every time I see Grandma, she's either sweeping the floor, cooking, organizing the kitchen. Grandma, tell me about your order, because we all notice that you, even at 80, here you are, everything's got to be organized.
Well, because the first rule of religious science is order. Order in your life, in your closets, in your relationships, in your money. And so you can't live a highly spiritual life unless you have some order.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you find that when your personal space is a mess, it's very hard to know where your bills are, where to sit down and things get away from you, important papers get lost because you don't have the order.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, when I begin looking for something, it tells me things are out of order and I'm wasting a lot of time. And I'm probably losing things. My little friend here on the thing likes my music.
So this morning, I saw you cleaning up the dishes. Yesterday, I saw you brooming the floor, and you made your famous corn. Who introduced you to that corned beef again? I forgot.
I tried to cook corned beef, and it always turned out awful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I complained to my Jewish neighbor in Lebanon, Elizabeth Alexander, and she said, I'll give you a good recipe, and that's the recipe. I've lost track of Elizabeth, but I had the recipe, and I think I really going to cook it. You know, I think I want to see passport. Pharmaceuticals. And I think to be happy, we all need some way of giving. And so up here, it seems to be the most practical thing I can give. because there's always a lot of disorder with a lot of people. So I just take that as my service.
A lot of disorder in the camp, right?
Yeah.
With all the people.
Now at home, where my home is orderly, my service is hospitality or prayer. A
Hospitality or
lot of people call
prayer.
me for time, for a listening ear. So I just feel time I spend on the telephone with people who need somebody to talk to, or feel they need a prayer partner, or they are lonesome and they really would like to have lunch with somebody. I tend to do that as service.
You know what God, I mean, it's
Nobody
important
knows
to,
what God is. I mean, they're not
I
a
know.
person you can see.
I know, but God was Jesus and Jesus.
Right.
Well, actually, God was part of, God was like sort of like Jesus, but that's what we think, but we're not sure because
I think Jesus said that he and the Father were one. And then he said that we were also one with the Father.
And
So
are
that
all the
everything,
animals.
that,
So
so
are all
that
the
everything
animals.
that he did, we can do also.
And so are all the animals.
Oh yes, they're all, everything, even stones what's your name?
Well, if he sees your finger, you know, they don't know that your finger is hitting their head because they don't like your finger in their face, so they're going to be
Okay, let's talk about what heaven is.
really beautiful.
All right.
Wonderful.
I personally don't believe that we die and go to heaven. I believe what Mrs. Eddy said, that we take heaven with us. So it's very important, I know it's very important to have a belief in everlasting life. Have a belief that you're going to be met when you come to make your transition. Have a belief that you will meet the people that you have loved that have gone before you. Because if you die without any expectation, you're likely to stay earthbound. And then somebody has to come along and rescue you, who's mediumistic and can see you and say, you're not supposed to stay here, you're supposed to go on. So it's very important to give children, and when they're young, the sense that life is forever. You can't lose your life. You may take a form.
Yeah, you have to have, you just have your body on
What
earth.
isn't immortal is the body. The spirit is forever immortal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And your grandmother, Clark, once told me, and I always remember this, when she was 82, she said to me, when am I going to start feeling old? And I think the truth is that we never have to feel old.
Your
Because
body,
the spirit never ages.
your spirit never ages,
The
but
body
your body
may give
does.
out, but the spirit can always be young.
Your spirit is always, whenever, it doesn't matter how old you are in your body.
Right.
It just means how old your body is when you say, my body. You know, you really don't have to
So,
say your...
And the Bible says
So-
that in my Father's house there are many mansions. What I understand is that when we go over to the other side, we are with those of a similar vibration. And that is the mansion. In other words, it's a community of people that have the same level of understanding. And so that we would all move along harmoniously together. And I think that we even choose to reincarnate with those people. We say, okay, maybe it's time for us to go back in body form and learn the lessons we didn't learn. So, because certain lessons apparently can only be learned in the body. So, that's my concept of heaven.
So you were also saying, were you saying that heaven and hell is what you make it on earth?
Yes, we can make lovely hells for ourselves on earth.
And can we make
But
lovely
even
heavens
if
for
you
ourselves on earth?
die, a lot of this happens to a lot of people. They die with a strong sense that they're going to go to heaven. And they experience that, Lane, until they realize that this isn't necessary for them to be there. And then they can move out of it.
So you can experience
So
heaven
we
here.
get what we expect.
You get what you expect.
Yeah.
So if you expect heaven on earth, you think you can receive heaven on earth?
Yeah, I think every day you look around you and say, what could be more beautiful? There's a wonderful story about a man who was raised Muslim but became a Christian. But on his deathbed, he thought, oh, I don't know if I followed the right leader. Should I have followed Muhammad or should I have followed Christ? And so they said on his deathbed that he saw Muhammad appearing from a mountain on one side and Christ coming down from the other side and all joining together to greet him. So that he didn't, it was all one. The truth is we're all one. We're all one in God. We're all expressions of God. We're all drops in the ocean and God is the ocean.